This photo, posted on Snapchat, was the last time anyone heard from 24-year-old Sydney Loofe.
Sydney Loofe.
Sydney Loofe.
Sydney Loofe. Loofe's disappearance.
Sydney Loofe.
Sydney Loofe. Sydney Loofe. Sydney Loofe.
In November 2017, Sydney Loofe goes on a Tinder date with another woman and disappears without a trace. What follows is a whirlwind of events, a car chase, a S3X-CULT, self-proclaimed witches, buzzwords that usually belong in novels, become a grim reality in this case. Sydney was 24 years old when she was reported missing on November 16, 2017. She lived in Antelope County, Nebraska, and in her last message to her mother, she wrote that she had met a woman on Tinder and was going out on a date with her. The evening passed, but Sydney never checked in again. Her mother was already worried at this point. It wasn't until the next day, when Sydney didn't show up for work and her car was still parked in the driveway at home, that her mother's unsettling feeling was confirmed. Based on the message, her mother feared that Sydney might have fallen victim to catfishing. Catfishing refers to the practice of creating a fake identity on social networks and making it appear convincingly real through great effort. There are many reasons for this. For example, to take on a different persona and connect with people you normally wouldn't have access to. Or to build an online relationship to take away not only the other person's pride, but also their money. Sydney's mother feared her daughter had encountered someone who only pretended to be interested in her, but actually had far darker intentions. She immediately notified the police. The police analyzed Sydney's cell phone data and discovered that her phone had last connected to a cell tower in Wilbur, Nebraska. With few other leads on her whereabouts, this became the starting point for their investigation. They combed through the surrounding area, but to no avail. Naturally, they also tried to identify the woman Sydney was meeting. This woman was likely the last person to see Sydney alive. Yet even here, there were few clues beyond the woman's name. Aubrey. None of Sydney's friends knew this person. It was only known that Sydney had met her once before and was incredibly excited about the second date. The police investigation was in full swing when Brooklyn McChrystal, a friend of Sydney's, came up with an unconventional idea to find the woman herself. She created a fake Tinder profile that resembled Sydney's. Brooklyn hoped that the mysterious Aubrey had a specific type and would also respond to her profile. And remarkably, the plan worked. Brooklyn found Aubrey's profile, swiped right, and they matched. She immediately messaged Aubrey, initiated a conversation, and eventually asked if they could exchange phone numbers to arrange a meeting. Aubrey agreed and sent Brooklyn her number. However, Brooklyn's private investigation ended here. It became too risky for her, so she handed the phone number over to the police, hoping it would help them find her friend. Using the phone number, investigators uncovered the true identity of Aubrey. Behind the alias was a 23-year-old woman named Bailey Boswell. This discovery came on November 28, 2017, and from that day forward, Bailey Boswell was classified as a person of interest, the primary suspect. Further investigations revealed that Bailey had a boyfriend named Aubrey Trail. He also became a key focus of the investigation. When Aubrey and Bailey learned that they were being pursued by the police, they immediately fled and went live on Facebook.
Good morning, Lincoln and Omaha and probably several other places. This is Aubrey Trail and this is Bailey Boswell. I guess y'all also know her as Audrey. I pray for Sydney. I hope she's found soon. I wish the family the best. I'm sorry that she wasn't with you on Thanksgiving. And that's pretty much all I can say for now. Here's Bailey to tell you whatever she wants to. I'm fixing to step aside and get out of this. Thank you for listening.
Hi, good morning. I'm Bailey, Audrey on Tinder, and a few other names because I have warrants, but this really isn't about me. This is about Sydney, and I'm just kind of want to tell you what I've already told the Lincoln police more than one time. I met her on a Tuesday. We drove around Lincoln, smoked, had a great time. We hit it off. I dropped her off at home, picked her up the next night at her house. We drove around, smoked again, made our way to my house where we smoked and I gave her a 1/4 ounce of some really good. I went to take her home and she asked me to drop her off at a friend's house, so I did so. I gave her my number. We were planning to go to the casino that weekend. I haven't heard from her since. I really don't even know what else to say. I've been seeing all this stuff on the news presses and the magazines and the news, and I guess I just want the family to know that I'm truly sorry and I didn't have anything to do with this, and I hope that Sydney is found very soon. She is a sweet, amazing girl.
I hope also that Sydney's found soon.
In their live stream, they claimed the police were trying to frame them because the investigation wasn't progressing. They insisted they were in contact with authorities and cooperating. Bailey also stated that she had indeed gone on a date with Sydney, but had dropped her off afterwards at a friend's house. She tried to deflect suspicion and repeatedly emphasized her innocence. But all of it was a lie. Meanwhile, the FBI became involved in the case. During a search of Bailey and Aubrey's apartment, investigators discovered that the walls in the living room had been cleaned with a chemical solution. Nonetheless, blood spatter was found. This led authorities to conclude that something terrible had happened to Sydney in that apartment. The search for Sydney intensified. By analyzing Bailey's cell phone data, investigators attempted to identify potential locations where her body might have been hidden. These sites were based on likelihood and systematically searched with cadaver dogs. On December 4th, 2017, the worst fears were confirmed. Sydney's body was found in Clay County, Nebraska. The search team stood at the edge of a field, scanning the area, when one of them spotted something protruding from the ground, as if she were pointing to her presence and contributing to solving her own murder. She was identified on site by a tattoo on her arm. Post-mortem examination revealed that Sydney's body had been dismembered into 14 parts. Her liver, kidneys, and lungs were missing and have never been found. Authorities were convinced that Bailey Boswell and Aubrey Trail had planned and carried out Sydney's murder because of their strange live stream on Facebook. This suspicion was supported by surveillance footage from a hardware store showing the two of them. The footage captured them filling a cart with various items, paying at the register, and loading the items into their vehicle. These items were likely used to dispose of Sydney's body in the way investigators ultimately discovered. The two were wanted for murder and were located shortly thereafter. They were arrested and taken into custody. Initially, Aubrey claimed that the murder had occurred during an impulsive outburst during intercourse, and that Bailey had nothing to do with it. However, no one believed him, which infuriated Aubrey and led him to an outburst during the trial. He stood up and screamed, "Bailey is innocent, and I curse you all." He then pulled out a small knife and stabbed himself multiple times in the neck. In an attempt to escape his punishment, he tried to take his own life. However, the attempt was unsuccessful. From that point onward, he was placed under close supervision to ensure it wouldn't happen again. During the trial, facts about Aubrey Trail emerged that were so bizarre they seemed straight out of fiction. Ashley Hills, a former girlfriend of Aubrey, testified in court that he had run a sex cult and surrounded himself with mentally unstable women. She claimed to have once been part of it, which is why she had first-hand knowledge. Before we continue, I'd appreciate a like or subscription. I try to research these cases as thoroughly as possible to provide you with good entertainment. Enough. Let's get back to the video. Aubrey referred to the group as the Witches, with Bailey as the Queen Witch, the highest-ranking member in the bizarre hierarchy. The two would often casually talk about murder, torture, and their cult. Aubrey believed he was a vampire, could read minds, and could fly. It's hard to determine whether he genuinely believed these things, or just claimed them to present himself as something he wasn't. Ashley also testified that Aubrey had instructed her to kill another woman in the cult because, quote, she wasn't evil enough to be part of the group. Aubrey allegedly told Ashley that if she tortured the woman for 2 to 3 hours before killing her, she would gain more magical power and become a stronger witch. The witness did not carry out the murder, but her testimony was credible in court and became part of the verdict. Unlike her boyfriend, Bailey Boswell never attempted to portray Sydney's death as an accident. Instead, she tried to position herself as another victim of Aubrey and his deranged cult. She claimed she was forced to participate in the torture and murder of Sydney. According to her, she was an essential part of his rituals, as her involvement supposedly gave him even more magical power. Ashley and the woman she was ordered to kill were both called to the witness stand. They testified that Bailey Boswell was the executor of her boyfriend's horrific acts and seemed to carry them out with enthusiasm. Ashley further reported that Bailey had expressed a desire to kill someone with acid and mentioned that all ritual murders should take place deep in the woods during a specific moon phase. When Bailey's belongings were seized, investigators found a notebook. It listed several names alongside attributes that Bailey and Aubrey had assigned to the women, things like healer or telepath. These were supposedly special abilities the women possessed, according to the cult leaders. With little evidence supporting Bailey's claims of being a victim, she was also convicted of murder. However, she received only a life sentence. Aubrey Trail, on the other hand, was sentenced to death 4 years later in April 2021. The court justified this decision by citing his cold, calculated, and brutal actions. It's unimaginable what horrors Sydney must have endured in the final moments of her life. Do you think Bailey was truly just another victim of Aubrey? Let me know in the comments. Let's move on to the next case. A pair of twins with delusions throw themselves into rush hour traffic on camera. What was to happen in the next few days is staggering. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.